there's not a lot there. Little game going on of Monopoly, and we're going to skip over to 104. So, the biggest thing, okay, one thing I can't have is I can't have you talking while I'm trying to do this, because I'm on limited time. I think I mentioned that. Thank you. Believe me, your misbehavior is now being recorded.
Hi, Tucker.
All right, so here's the deal. I want you to follow through with me in the book. And you can take notes now if you like, if you want to do it that way. If you want to go back and look at the video later, whatever is your pleasure. Okay? But I do want you paying attention. I do want you following along. I've got a couple people still doing ACT, so okay. All right. So the biggest thing that happens in this section is McMurphy decides that he wants to watch the World Series. It's a big deal to him. Why would it be such a big deal to him?
Money.
Money. He's a big gambler. This is a big sporting event. Everybody bets on the World Series. Everybody bets on the Super Bowl. He's gonna, wants to see what the money deal's gonna be. He wants to kind of get some more money out of the guys, whatever. And this is just one of those things. He says every year, even in prison, we got to watch the World Series because immediately the nurse shuts that watching the World Series thing down. Oh no, you cannot watch the World Series. That is not therapeutic, right? So they go through this whole thing. He brings it up in the session, and that is, he starts talking about it over at the bottom of 104, and then he says, hey, let's take a vote on it, on 105. What do you think happens the first time they vote on it?
Only Cheswick votes.
Right. Cheswick, who is all about McMurphy, right? He needs somebody to support. Cheswick does. So Cheswick is that guy that's always going to support McMurphy, and he does, and that one person votes. Why is that? Why is just one of the guys want to watch the World Series? They're scared, right? They're scared of the nurse. They know she doesn't want this. They don't want to go against her. They don't want to piss her off. They want to leave everything good. There's no telling what she'll do with all her control of the combine, right? So they all kind of chicken out, right? They're rabbits, they're chickens, whatever they are. They decide not to do this. And then McMurphy on 107 says, hey, how many of you will vote for it if I bring it up again? That's over on 107. How many of you birds will vote with me if I bring it up again? And then about half the acutes nod yes, blah, blah, blah. And Harding mentions at the bottom of 107, it's still a risk, my friend. She's always had the capacity to make things worse for us. A baseball game isn't worth the risk. So Harding tells him why they won't do it. But then he gets kind of upset with them because they're so cowardly about things. And then he wants to, he says, I'm going to break out of here. I'm going to throw something through the window. Well, they quickly tell him, look, there's wire mesh on the windows, and you're never going to make it out of here. So he starts looking around. What could I throw through a window that I could be able to get out of here? What could I throw through a window? And in the tub room is a big, they call it a control panel. Probably to control some of the water and stuff like that. Think of it as one of those science tables upstairs, maybe half that size, right? Could you pick that up and throw it through the window? Yes.
Hell no.
No, you could not, right? Way too heavy. It's got that big, heavy, thing on top, and the sink that's attached to the, right? So it's about half the size of one of those, that kind of looking thing. And so what he does, he says, on 109, I could lift it all right. Well, hell, right over there, you see? That thing Billy's sitting on, the big control panel with all the handles and cranks, that's hard enough, ain't it? It damn well should be heavy enough. And then he goes through and he tries to lift it, and he strains and he strains and he strains. He even makes his hands bloody over on page 110 trying to lift it up. Stand back, sissies, you're using my oxygen, he says. And then he goes down, and he realizes he can't get it. Over on 111, he says, but I tried, though. He says, God damn it, I sure as hell did that much now, didn't I? And walks out and leaves those stained pieces of paper on the floor. He throws back the IOUs. That's what he does. He's like, bet me that I can pick this up. And then he gives back their IOUs from the day before. And then a little bit on 112 and 113, something you're going to want to look at with nature is a motif. So that's a little bit of nature and flashback there. And it's also kind of what's going on at the time. 114, 115, those short little pages, same thing. Then, a better explanation on 116 of the fog. So, when he was in the military, he worked on an airstrip, and when they needed protection, when they needed not to be seen by the enemy that had planes flying over, they used big machines to fog the strip, so that there was like a low-lying fog there. People couldn't see the planes and stuff. So, again, we know why this becomes part of his delusion. It was protection. It was security. It was safety when he was in the military. It was realistically something used that way. And that explanation right here on 116 says, whenever intelligence figured there might be a bombing attack, or if the generals had something secret they wanted to pull out of sight, hid so good that even the spies on the base couldn't see what went on, they fogged the field. It's a simple rig. You got an ordinary compressor, sucks water out of one tank and special oil out of another tank, compresses them together, and from the black stem at the end of the machine blends a white cloud of fog that can cover a whole airfield in 90 seconds. So that was real. And that's kind of where some of this stuff comes from. You felt like you were out there on that airfield all by yourself. You were safe from the enemy, but you were awfully alone. So now the fog becomes, Bailey, safety, but also protection and loneliness. You may be secure, but you're just there all by yourself. Okay? Think about that as you see fog again. And then some more about fog on 116, top of 117. So, now we get back. Some of this is just so good. Top of 118, then I discovered something. That paragraph's great. Go back and look at that. Then the vote. So he says he's going to bring it up again. There's some information, too, on 121 at the bottom about Billy's mother. And kind of just the whole weird relationship they have. So you want to look at that. I can't do nothing for you either, Billy. You know that. None of us can. You got to understand that as soon as a man goes to help somebody, he leaves himself wide open. He has to be cagey, Billy. You should know that as well as anyone. What could I do? I can't fix your stuttering. I can't wipe the razor blade scars off your wrist or the cigarette burns off the backs of your hands. I can't give you a new mother. What does that mean? What has Billy tried before then?
Kill himself.
He's tried to kill himself. So this is Billy's way of coping. It's too much. I'm just going to kill myself. And he hasn't. But it is the way he thinks of sort of coping with things. Okay? Then a little more about Papa and drinking and that kind of stuff over on page 122, middle of the page. Down, I see my Papa come loping out of a draw and slow up and try to take aim at a big 6-point buck. So that's nature over there. I hope I'm not skipping the part where he says, no, I think that comes later. I'm going to wait on that. So, then we've got the vote. So the revote is on page 123. And they talk about it a little bit. Let's let him have the vote, Miss Ratched. So, then the vote. So, all the acutes end up voting with him this time. And he's like, hey, I got this, it's done. And the nurse said, no, they're an equal number of chronics. They have to vote too. And then McMurphy just goes crazy. So that's at the bottom of 124. I count only 20, Mr. McMurphy. 20? Well, why not? 20 is all of us there. Now, just hold on a goddamn minute, lady. I'm afraid the vote is defeated. Hold on just one goddamn minute. There are 40 patients on the ward, Mr. McMurphy. 40 patients and only 20 voted. You must have a majority to change the ward policy. I'm afraid the vote is closed. Well, I'll be a son of a bitch. You mean to tell me that's how you're going to pull it? Count the votes of those old birds over there, too? Didn't you explain the voting procedure to him, Doctor? I'm afraid a majority is called for, Mr. McMurphy. She's right. A majority, Mr. McMurphy, is in the ward constitution. And I suppose the way to change the damn constitution is with a majority vote. Sure, of all the chicken shit things I've ever seen, this, by God, takes the cake. I'm sorry, Mr. McMurphy, but you'll find it written in the policy if you care for me to... So this is how you're going to work this democratic bullshit. Hell's bells. You seem upset, Mr. McMurphy. Doesn't he seem upset, Doctor? I want you to note this. Don't give me that noise, lady. When a guy's getting screwed, he's got a right to holler. And we've been damn well screwed. And then she says, he's to wait a minute, I'm going to talk to these guys. And he's like, the vote, she says the vote is closed. No, let me talk to him. So he goes around, of course, trying to talk to all those guys in wheelchairs and plastered up against the wall and dancing through the, that can barely like lose it at all, right? But he's trying to get that vote. And of course, eventually, he does. From? Chief's a chronic. So eventually, and that's over on page 126. So it says, the meeting is adjourned then, I hear say, blah, blah, blah. So if there's nothing else, it's too late to stop it now. And this is the chief. But Murphy did something to it that first day. Put some kind of hex on it with his hand, so it won't act like I order it. There's no sense in it. Any fool can see I wouldn't do it on my own. Just by the way the nurse is staring at me with her mouth empty of words, I can see I'm in for trouble, but I can't stop it. McMurphy's got hidden wires hooked to it, lifting it slow just to get me out of the fog and into the open where I'm fair game. He's doing it. Wires. No, that's not the truth. I lifted it myself.
Ooh.
McMurphy whoops and drags, and he's standing pounding my back. 21! The Chiefs vote made it 21, and by God, if that ain't a majority, I'll eat my hat. Yippee! Chiswick yells. The meeting was closed, she said. So she's not going to take the vote because the meeting was closed. So just to kind of show him, around the time of the World Series the next day, McMurphy gets the men in front of the TV. There's no on switch on the TV. It's not happening. They control, of course, from the control room, Brian, the on switch, okay, of the TV. Okay. So, over then on page 128, last paragraph. It says, if somebody had come in and took a look, men watching a blank TV, a 50-year-old woman hollering and squealing at the back of their heads about discipline and order and recriminations, they'd have thought the whole bunch was crazy. So he's in front of the TV, and he's like, yeah, go Jim, run. That looks like a home run. He's got them all going, they're cheering and clapping. And of course the World Series isn't on, it's just blank. But he's got them, and he's, just to piss the old nurse off. Okay. All right, so that is the World Series. It's a very good section of this, very rich, very kind of funny, and to try to get the nurses going. Now, it is if you read it, but I was just doing the quickie. So,